Were you interested in aircraft as a child?
Not as a child, no, but when it came very near, in 1941, when I became of an age when I'm likely to be called up, I considered my options, and I was a mathematics keen man, had very good teaching at my college, my school, and I thought, well, a bomber pilot would be I'd fit in nicely. So I thought I'd volunteer for the Air Force, which I did in 1941. And after a number of interviews and examinations, they said, I'm very sorry, you can't fly, your eyes are not good enough. Now, I thought, well, I don't know whether to be pleased or sorry. I was pleased because I thought, well, my chances of survival were obviously better if I'm not flying. But on the other hand, I'm sorry that I didn't get what I wanted to get. So they said, well, you can't fly, but you can go back and wait for it to be called up. And I thought, well, I don't like khaki, I must prefer blue. So I said, no, I'll stay in the Air Force and remuster. And they said, well, okay, we'll put you on some exercises and see how you get on. But the first thing they did was to send me to Sir John Cass Institute in the East End, where they all taught me the basics, which I'd already learned at my college, of electrics, electronics, and all that sort of thing, where a wireless mechanic, which they'd put me onto, would want to know. And again, after all these tests, they selected about the first 5, I think, out of the class to go into radar, and I happened to be in the first 5. So I then became a radar mechanic or radar engineer when I elevated myself to it. And I spent the rest of my career as a radar engineer, and I travelled all over England. Especially I was stationed at the south coast aerodromes where they were liable to be bombed, and that was my only taste of real war, because a lot of these airfields were targeted by the Germans, and we lost a bit of life in those bombing raids. So our own radar had to see it coming. And radar, if you don't know a lot about it, it's quite a simple thing. It consists of 2 elements, a receiver and a transmitter. And the transmitter, there are 2 functions which radar does. This is one, which is detection. Two machines, a receiver and the transmitter. The transmitter transmits a beam, which, like anything else, has an echo, and the echo comes back and appears as a blip on a cathode ray tube. And a good operator from that can determine how big it is, how many planes are, how high it is, and gives us all the information which allows, because the report goes to Fighter Command in Stanmore, and they decide what to do, and they've got to get their planes up above the incoming flight. So that's the basic transmitter and receiver, and I was a cog in that machine, and it was a war-winning device. I mean, because you talk about the cipher people at Buckingham, that's another war-winning thing. And when we discovered the naval code, because our ships were being sunk at a rate which we wouldn't survive much longer, and we managed, that code saved our lives there. And radar was another one that saved our lives. We were prepared. They didn't know at the beginning. How on earth did our fighters get above them without their knowing we're coming. We could see them taking off from French airfields. So it was a wonderful thing. And my job was to ensure that the machinery worked. And this is what I learned. I went on courses, apart from John Cass, then I went to Cranwell, Great Spear, and other big training courses. And I spent about 6 months learning about radar. So that was the first function of radar, to detect planes coming in. But there is another one which people don't know about quite so well, and that is navigation. Now this is this is Sir Robert Watson Watt, all his brainchild. The second one was navigation, and what they did was they picked on a pair of bases, perhaps 1,000 miles apart. Let's say they're both north and south, and then there were another pair. Let's say they are east and west. So they crossed over, and the plane who is on a mission, and they're somewhere within that cross, and they would be, from determining on a chart which they've got in the plane, they can determine where exactly their position is in relation to these two beams intersecting, and they know where they are. So that's the other function of radar. Wonderful thing, another brainchild, another war winner. So our planes knew exactly where they were, detection, and that's known as LRAN, long range. And so there's long range detection. So that's what I was involved in, and I was a cog in that big wheel.